Howdy folks, this is BelGeode. We are in Microsoft Flight Simulator, World Update 12, and this is a test. We're in New Zealand, as you can probably tell by the flag waving there in the wind. We are at a place called Gorge River Island, I think. And this is one of the many places that's added by World Update 12. And for today's shenanigans, we are going to be flying around New Zealand. So I chose this place because, well, it's just kind of cool. It's this little farm out in the middle of nowhere. Look at that. Like, what is that supposed to be? Is that cabbage? Doesn't look like cabbage. Sorry, I've been playing too much Skyrim, so everything looks like cabbage to me. But yeah, it's so cool. Not so sure about the lighting on the plants, but at least there's God rays, so I'm not going to complain too much. All right, so what is our bird for today? Well, you can probably see her off in the distance there. This is the brand spanking new Inibuilds BF-108 Taifun, I believe it is called. So as far as the history of the bird, we know it dates back to like World War II vintage, but it is civilian. It is a civilian plane designed to have a lot of the same features as the famous Messerschmitt fighter, the BF-109. Except, of course, it's also got the folding wings, which I think is really cool. I like that. I really like that. And as you can see, everything's all covered up. And we're currently using the U.S. Navy livery for this particular bird. So we're going to be flying to Queenstown in this thing, and I'm thinking my parking job was horrible because, quite frankly, I am in the bushes. Yeah, only in New Zealand, right? But yeah, I think we should be able to pull this off. I'm looking forward to this flight here. Usual pop-ups will be popping up below. Remember, this is a chill vid, which means very low editing, very low production. And basically, chill vids double as a test for me to test out any new recording processes I'm using or new software that may aid in the production of the video. I'm trying to get all of the work done up front so that when I get it into DaVinci Resolve to do the minor edits that I do before putting it on YouTube, I'll have less work to do. So yeah, all of that should have popped up. You should see how I'm running this. Currently running OpenXR plugin through OBS. OBS is only being used as a VR mirror. That is the sole purpose of OBS. It's on my second monitor at 1440p size, and that's being recorded by the AMD Adrenaline or AMD Relive, whatever you want to call it. All right, but let's take a look at this bird, shall we? And then we'll hop inside. Don't ask me how we're going to get in with the rain cover on, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so we are in drone camera. We're going to go to the external static cameras. So here's our first one, pretty stock standard, behind the bird, looking forward. I love this. I should mention straight off the bat, there is no BelGeode landing cam on this. And that's a little bit of a disappointment for me because you know how much I love the BelGeode landing cam, especially when I like open and close the gear or extend and retract the gear. And now that I'm looking at that runway, oh boy. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work. This could be an epic fail before we even take off. Whew! All right, but yeah, there's your first camera. Then our second camera is off the starboard side, so on the right wing, and you can see it's looking kind of forward, so you get a good look at the prop. Everything is up to date, so this aircraft uses the CFD, the new CFD that was added with Sim Update 11. Computational Fluid Dynamics, I think is what it stands for. If I'm wrong, I'll have a little pop-up right now below correcting myself. Or you can just correct me in the comments, as most people are apt to do. All right, next camera. Side view, pretty straightforward, pretty straightforward. Next camera is on the opposite side, so kind of takes you for a loop there because you want to be looking this way, but yeah, you got to look this way. And then, of course, the mirror image, side view, port side. And then we have this. So from the front looking back, Inibuilds, We need a BelGeode landing cam. Please stick it in after this camera before we get to this camera. I gotta be able to see the underside of the bird as I'm coming in, so that way I know if I'm gonna like regret trying to land wherever it is we're trying to land. But suffice to say, we'll go ahead and keep it on this for now. It's gonna be a beast and a half trying to get her out of these bushes, so that's for sure. All right, let's hop in and we'll check out the bird. Okay. So, we are in the cockpit, and I think I need to straighten up my VR view here. I'm feeling a little askew, so let me just do that real quick. There we go. That's a little bit better. I always recommend, if you have a hat switch handy on your HOTAS or yoke and throttle controls, make sure that you set your hat switch to the camera movement controls. In particular, translating longitudinally and latitudinally, that will help out immensely when you're in VR. Even though by default, when you center yourself in VR, you should be sitting in the right spot, which is pretty much where we are right now. If you do need to, say, for example, go to the co-pilot seat, you can just do that with your hat switch, and voila, you're in a co-pilot seat. Speaking of co-pilot, Kara is back, so I should probably activate Kara. And that is going to be under here, flight assistant. We're going to set her ATC radio communications on. Now, I will also mention to you that Kara is not included in the VR cockpit. I have asked Inibuilds if they can do that for us, because I know there's a lot of you who, like myself, like to have someone to look at in the cockpit, even if they're not true humans that we cannot interact with and whatever. It's kind of cool because Asobo did do a lot to bring us the models, so it would be nice if we could see them, you know? All right, checklist I have up. We're going to leave that as is, and I'm going to show you this really quick. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. There is persistence with this bird that you can turn on and turn off. That's all under settings. You got a timer, you got a weather lookup, you got your map, and of course you've got your maintenance. Since I said this thing does have persistence, you can see it tells you what percentage everything is at. So component status. I currently have maintenance feature turned off, or the persistence, I should say, turned off for this bird. I want to say this will remove our rain cover, so let me click it. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. All right. And we do have little curtains here we can open up and close up. I haven't figured out if I can do that with the mouse or if I have to use this little control here to do that. Pull curtains. Okay, I heard them slide. Hey, look at that. That's awesome. It would be nice if we had the capability to physically touch them and move them, but I'm sure that's something that can be added in after the fact. I'm not going to complain too much about it. All right, so that's everything on the maintenance screen. We can go back to the home page by clicking that. We'll go to settings really quick here. So you have a choice of rain covers. I just chose the standard Inibuilds gray, but you've got like different camouflages and so on and so forth for your rain covers. Your gauges you can change. You'll see the middle one there. It's set to imperial, or you can set it to metric. I think mine defaults to the German setting, which would be metric. Now it seems to be in imperial. But I just flew this thing just to make sure that I actually knew what I was doing. So right now it's a bit backwards. It says it's metric, but it's clearly not metric. And that's probably because I just restarted the flight. Curtains visible, yep. Maintenance and persistence turned off. Okay, which is fine by me. And in lieu of a GPS, we do have a nifty little map. So we can keep that there. And let me make sure that we are centered on the bird. We should be. I'm going to zoom us out one notch. So yeah, we are on the, I believe it is the South Island of New Zealand. So the one that's a little bit colder and more temperate than the North Island of New Zealand. I don't know if there's that much of a difference between the two, though, because of the fact that they're both below the equator. We got a little window we can open up. We got doors that we can open up. Come on, door, open up. Oh, can you not open it up if the wings are folded? That would be odd if you can't. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can. And to be honest with you, I don't remember how to open up the wings. So I do know that once I start the engine and start moving forward, they will open up. So we should be fine there. Speaking of which, let's run through the startup sequence really quick here. Oh, you know what my problem is with the door? Yeah, it's this. This is the door latch. Okay. Let's try that again, shall we? You can tell it's a brand new bird for me as I'm fumbling through everything. There we go. Although I think it just hit the wings. So, yeah. Mental note, don't open your door when your wings are folded. It's probably not a good idea. We'll go ahead and close it. And we'll latch it. There we go. All right. So, let's go through the startup procedure here. So first off, landing gear, make sure the lever is down. This is your landing gear lever here, smack dab in the center of the bird. It is down. Up is completely vertical. This is your little indicator here that tells you whether your gear are down or not. And right now, they're down. So we will go tick. Flaps are up. Yep, they are. Fuel cock is in the closed position. This is your fuel cock lever. Bottom is closed. Top is open, so we want it in the bottom. Fuel selector is currently set to off. It is not, actually. So I got this a little bit reversed here because right now it's actually on. If I put it there, it should be off. So you're looking at a little rounded part of it here. That's telling us that it's off. So that's kind of where we want it. And that's the reserve tank, that's the main tank. And that's off. Okay, so according to the checklist, we should have it off right now. Throttle is closed. Now our throttle, really neat, is right here. It's built into the wall, which is pretty cool. And then behind it, you'll find like our trim gauges. And there's our trim wheel and our flaps lever and all of that stuff. I love the little bicycle chain looking things that it's got on there too. That's kind of neat. All right, magnetos, position 0. Yep, this is our magnetos right here, and bottom is 0. Lights are all off. Now the light switches are all over here. Basic lights here. We've got landing lights, nav lights, generator, and pitot heat. Up is off. Down is on. Just remember that, because that kind of tripped me up the first time. Generator off, pitot heat off, radios off, rain cover has been removed. And let's go to engine start procedures. Wings, spread, and lock. Okay, now comes the fun part, because I have no idea how to do this. I just started her up and went for a fly. All right, flaps lever, pitch trim. Yeah, I have no idea where the wing controls are. None. Is it under here maybe? No, I don't think it is. Oh, this is the stick for that side. I don't know. All right, well, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it, because when we start up the aircraft, like I said, the moment you start moving, the wings automatically unfold themselves. Okay, left and right cabin doors closed and locked. We'll make sure the little latch is back on. It most certainly is. Good, good, good. Fuel cock to open, so we want that in the up position. Fuel selector to main. Right now, you will see it is off, so we're going to turn it reserve. Main. Okay. Good to GO. Throttle 1 inch open. That's about good enough right there. Prop lever 12 o'clock position. What does that mean? Well, your prop pitch lever is this right here. See the little red indicator at 12 o'clock position? That's what they're talking about. So you don't need to mess with that. Fuel primer as required. I don't think we need priming, but I'm gonna punch it a couple of times here. 3 should be good. We'll see. Magnetos. We want it to M1 plus 2, so both mags basically. So we're gonna go down, down, and there we go. Obviously I was a little too liberal with that because it actually start it up. But then that's how I've got my knob set up for the Virpil. Once I go through the magneto cycles, 1, 2, and both, the next step is start. So if I do it a little too much, of course it's going to start. So yeah, starter's on. Generator, we'll go ahead and turn you on now. There we go. Generator's doing generatory goodness. Let's get our nav lights on. And we should probably get our landing lights on as well. I'm going to turn on a pitot heat just because. Okay. All of that is good to go. Flaps are up. Lights as required. Radios as required. Okay, let's go ahead and get the radios on. So the radios are really cool. They are right here. Just turn it on. Raise the volume a bit. And same thing for the transponder. Your transponder is right here, so turn that on. I'm going to put mine to alt. And you can see we are at alt squawking 7000, which is right where I want us to be. Okay. Incidentally, this is the starter button here. You didn't really see it move because, well, I used my magneto knob to do that. But we got a great start, so we're good to go. Taxi procedures, controls free and clear, throttle advance, brakes, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, I think we can manage the rest of this without the checklist. Alright, so time check. We are just about close to 9:30 a.m. and yeah, we're going to need to use all this runway here. So we're going to drop the flaps momentarily. Let me first see if I can rotate us around. And Kara, do me a favor if you could, please. Tune NZQE traffic for me and tell them that we are going to take off. Actually, let's select a runway. Which way are we pointing, first of all? We're pointing to the south. Would that be runway 22, I guess? Yeah. And just tell them we're departing straight out.
November Zulu Quebec Echo Traffic Messerschmitt 7402 taking off runway 22 straight out departure.
Alright, sounds good to me. I'm a little concerned about that hill over there. Not quite sure how that's going to work out for us, but we're going to find out. By the way, there is no parking brake that I could find in this thing. So when they say hold the brakes as you start it, they're not kidding. They are not kidding. Alright, I'm going to give us some throttle here. A little bit of right pedal. You hear that? Automatic, baby. Automatic. Love it. Okay, so wings are in position. Let's go ahead and close our window. You'll notice that the audio changes a little bit. We'll check the outside view. Technically, we're lined up. Now, another interesting little thing about this aircraft is the leading edge slats will open and close on their own. So you don't actually need to do anything with that. We will set about 10-20 degrees flaps, so right about there should be good, I hope. And we are going to need to power her on full in order to take off. So we're going to hold the brakes a little, brakes down, throttles up. Brakes off, full power. Here we go. Try to stay in the non-bushy parts. Oh boy, oh boy, doing the rudder tango. Doing the rudder tango. Just like that, 55 knots, we're up. We are airborne. And I love it. Okay, landing gear can come up. And I want to make sure that we pass this. There we go. Feeling good about this. Let's go ahead and get the flaps up, which is going to cause our nose to dip, so we can now trim up. And I'm feeling like I should probably go out to sea a little bit, so yeah, let's do that. And since we are airborne, we can pull the power back now. So you can see my manifold pressure is coming down. Very good, very good. All right, let's go to the outside view, in particular that view where we see from the front to the back, and we'll check out what it looks like. Not too shabby, not too shabby at all. Okay, so I should mention there is no autopilot in this thing, which basically means you got to do the trim tango to get her where you want her to go. Which is always a little bit of a pain in the butt when you're dealing with it, but she flies really well and she does handle nicely, so as long as you're keeping a good eye on your trim, and of course you're watching your weather conditions, you know, looking for updrafts, downdrafts, you know, the usual jazz, you should be able to get her trimmed out nicely and get her to actually do what you want. Right now, of course, I am mostly in offline mode. The only thing that I have online is the Bing graphics, so that way I have like the most up-to-date scenery and so on and so forth being cached on my PC as I'm flying. But yeah, other than that, this thing's a joy. There's really not much more I need to say about it. She handles well, she flies great. Even though there's no autopilot and I have to keep trimming, she will stay in the air. She's not gonna, like, you know, drop like a rock or anything. I'm fine with that. I'm very much fine with that. We're closing in on 2,000 feet right now. We're probably gonna wanna be a little bit higher than that, given the fact that this island is notorious for its mountains. But we'll see. We'll see how it all works. Let's go back to the outside view really quick as I worked my way back to the magenta line here. Now you may have noticed on the top of the fuselage behind the cabin there is what appears to be a little door. That is exactly what you think it is. It is a little compartment that opens up. I want to say that may be related to either luggage or maintenance. One of the two. I don't remember exactly. But yes, it does open up and you can actually look inside it and so on and so forth. Alright, let me see what our altitude is. Kara, did you contact center? I don't think you did you? Did not. Okay, how about you get some flight following for us, please? I know it's been a while since you've flown with me.
New Zealand Center Messerschmitt 7402 is type 2 miles west of November Zulu, Quebec uniform, 2,500 feet. Request flight following.
Messerschmitt 740 to New Zealand Center. Squawk 6035.
Squawk 6035 Messerschmitt 7402.
Messerschmitt 7402, radar contact 2 miles west of November Zulu, Quebec uniform, 2,700 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
Alright, good deal.
Roger Messerschmitt 7402.
Alright, now for some reason Kara is not being automatic, so I have to kind of click the button. Thankfully I have that bound to my HODAS as well, so I can tell exactly which button it is that I need to click in order to get her to respond to ATC commands. But I think part of the reason why that's happening is because for the last few flights I really haven't had the AI co-pilot activated by default, so she's probably out of practice. That's our story and we're going to stick to it, right? Right. Alright, looks like we are coming up on the first of my waypoints, one of the airstrips that I had put in this flight plan. I like to navigate by airstrip if there's airstrips available, as opposed to using like VOR, NDB, that sort of thing. I know I can do that, and that honestly is the way that you would do it in real life. But I'm a visual kind of person. I can't see VORs and NDBs from the air, but I sure as heck can see airstrips. So we got November Zulu, what is that? Mike India? Or Mike Juliet? I can't really tell. All I know is it's directly ahead of us, so we're going to see if we can spot it. know, I didn't really sign up for any IFR flying today. Just saying. Turn us slightly to the left here, because we should be just to the right of that airstrip. And we're going to need to turn left anyway. You know, I think I saw the airstrip. It is definitely to the left of us somewhere. It's New Zealand, though. We're in the backwoods, so I have no clue where exactly it might be. Alright, but I do know this is the direction that we need to go, so we're going to keep climbing here. Try to bring her up to about 4,000. I think that should be just above the cloud deck. Yeah, because we're just about in the middle of it right now. Throttle is pretty much set at 75-80%, so we're good to go. I know they say in cruise your what is it? Your manifold pressure should be about 16, or is it the RPM? I don't remember. It might be the RPM actually. Which, if that's the case, we can always adjust that with our prop pitch. But I'm going to leave everything as is because we're still in the green, as it were, so we really should not have too many issues. I'm thinking we'll be fine, really. Look at that majestic mountain. Holy crap. Okay, I'm going to veer a little to the right so that way we don't hit that. I also did not sign up for any cumulogranitus today. That is not my favorite type of cloud at all. I'm just saying. Alright, so right there's looking good. So to get into Queenstown, I have kind of a circuitous route for us. Let me see if I can show you on this thing. If we zoom out a bit. Okay, so there's our full flight plan. So we've got the one airport coming up there, and Queenstown is right there. You can see it's a much bigger airport, but we're actually going to circle around it to the south and work our way in. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. We're still encountering a fair bit of turbulence, so we need to be careful with that. And I'm going to zoom our map in so I can actually see where the heck we are. Okay, right there's good. So yeah, this is flying old school here, folks. Scanning your gauges, you're making sure you are where you're supposed to be, and you're following your directions. There's no autopilot whatsoever, so you're basically just doing this the old-fashioned way. Which is awesome. I think that's part of the real fun of doing this. And yeah, I get it. You airliner guys, you know, you love to have your flight plans in, and you know, you get up to cruise and basically watch the world zip past. Honestly, I have more fun doing this because look at this. Just look at the scenery. You can't tell me that is not absolutely gorgeous. And I'm feeling like I need to trim us a little to the left, so let me do that real quick here. There we go. A little too much to the left, maybe. Alright, right there should be good. Yeah, let's go back to the outside view here, and let's take a look at the scenery all around us. Okay, so according to our flight plan, yeah, we are going to be going over a lot of mountains. And you know what? I am going to claim that that is my bad, because I probably should have had us follow the coastline and then come in at the correct juncture, because we are currently close to 5,000 feet. And yeah, I'm still seeing mountains ahead and above, which is generally not a good idea. Damn, I think if we get any higher, we might run into a bunch of hobbits and a ring. That's all I'm saying. But you know what? This is exactly why I came to New Zealand to do this particular flight. And this is also why I'm really glad that Microsoft Flight Simulator has finally given us an update to these beautiful islands. Because this is one of those bucket list places, you know, where I would love to actually visit at some point in time in real life. Okay, let me hold that thought there, because I am not so sure we're actually going to be able to get over this mountain. So, you know what, we're going to swing out to the right. But yeah, this is great. This is really great. And this aircraft is just handling it like a champ. That's one thing I will say about Inibuilds. When they put their heart and soul into making an aircraft, it is usually really good. The only complaints that I have are the usual creature comforts that I like. For example, the whole co-pilot business, and of course the BelGeode landing cam. But I mean, those are minor things that really only somebody like myself would actually point out. As far as the aircraft itself, how they've modeled the flight dynamics, how everything handles, it's nothing short of perfect, really. I've got her trimmed up just right so that we're still climbing. You can see our speed really hasn't moved from about 105 knots. And the engine gauges are all where they should be. We're not dipping, we're not dropping. Nothing basically is giving me like any red flags or anything like that. We're just purring along, which is outstanding. I really can't ask for anything better from an aircraft like this. Now, of course, the fact that we've got the winds kind of buffeting us all over the place and no autopilot to help compensate for it just means that I need to be Johnny on the spot when it comes to making sure we are where we're supposed to be. But isn't that what being a pilot is all about? Like, if you were doing it in real life, aren't you going to want to pay attention to all of that stuff? So it's a good habit to get into when you're in the sim as well. Now, I do notice some of the textures on these mountains are a little sketchy, to say the least. You can see some stuff dragged out there, warped a little bit. So, Asobo, yeah, you did do a decent job on the islands, but there are some areas of opportunity you may want to take a quick look at, you know, just to make sure. Alright, we do have an airport coming up. If I head directly south, which I pretty much am right now, and that airport is going to be one of our turning points. So we're going to go this way here, point straight towards it. Go around this mountain here. And we'll go back to the outside view and see if we can spot it. I'm not sure how successful we're going to be, considering the fact that we've got this cloud directly in our way here. Okay, so our airport is directly below us, and it looks like we are going to need to make a relatively hard left turn. So as soon as I overfly the airport, we'll swing out to the right, or to the left actually. These clouds, man, these clouds. I suppose I probably could have put it to live weather, but given the fact that I've been having issues with the online services, you can see the tip of the runway right there. I opted not to do that this time around. I just wanted to set us up for default weather or conditions, basically the custom stuff, so you know, your few clouds and so on and so forth. Alright, I want to say this is the right heading for us. Yep, looks to be. Right about there. Okay, now comes the fun part. Can we get over these mountains? So far, we're doing good. Like I said, she's purring like a kitten. We've got plenty of gas. We do have some in the reserve tanks if we do need the reserve tanks. I'm going to go ahead and turn our landing lights off because we definitely do not need those on. You can see our amps have changed. Temperature's looking decent. It's below 80 centigrade. That's the oil temp. Fuel pressure, oil pressure, all of that looks good. Okay, let's get our head out of the cockpit. Alright, so according to this, we are at a heading of roughly 100. And that's where we need to be, so we should be good to go there. Needless to say, this is going to be a slightly longer chill vid. I know the last couple of chill vids have been a little bit shorter, but with this particular bird, especially with the new world update dropping, I really wanted to showcase, you know, the cross-country aspect of the flying. It's kind of difficult to do that in a helicopter because, let's face it, the helicopter is considerably slower than all the other birds that I currently have. And I don't necessarily want to make what should be a 1-hour flight turn into a 2-hour video. So, but for something like this, because of the fact that we've got a fair amount of speed in us, I'd say we're doing pretty good. I'd say we're doing really good, actually. And I can actually increase our throttle. Right now, I'm being relatively conservative with it, so it's just locked in at about 75 to 80% throttle. I don't think I'll need to go up any more than that, but we will check the mountains here just to make sure that they're not closer than they need to be. Oh boy. Alright, now the one up ahead, we do have a saddle ridge directly in front of us, so that might work. Maybe, possibly, we'll see. Bit of downdraft there. We're just over 6,000 feet. How does it look on that side? I suppose we probably could cut through there and maybe that might help. So let's do that. Let us do that. We certainly do have enough power to spare, so I'm not too worried about that. Like I said, I'm being very conservative when it comes to the engine. I'm basically babying the engine here to make sure that we stay within our normal limitations. Everything else I'm handling just with trim. So elevator pitch trim and, of course, aileron trim. Yeah, everything looks fine to me. Okay, we should be able to cut through there and then we'll swing out to the left a little. So let's go back to the outside quickly. I am liking it. I am really liking it. The aircraft feels so docile, even though she does have a very strong lineage, you know, being part of the BF family of aircraft. It feels easy to fly on the one hand, and on the other hand, it feels very responsive. Like I am just gently putting us into a turn here because I can see that we're just to the north of the magenta line, where we should be. But yeah, this just feels right. There's no other way to describe it, folks. It just feels right. Yeah, it's not a fighter jet or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but by the same token, it's not your average GA either, which is one of the things that really attracted me to this. And even though I was given this release version as a preview copy, I guess you would say, from Inibuilds, and yes, thank you, by the way, Inibuilds, for the preview copy of this bird. This is most definitely something I would buy on my own, and don't be too surprised if after I'm done with this video I do that. I uninstall the preview copy and just purchase this plane so that way I can be in the loop with updates and everything. Because this is worth flying right here. I can see myself flying this sucker for hours at a time. Especially in VR on a beautiful day like today, exploring parts of the world that I have never seen in real life. Oh yeah. There is no more perfect combination than what we've got right here. I'm having fun. I am having a crap ton of fun. So thank you again, Inibuilds. This is awesome. This is really awesome. Alright, let's go back to the outside view just to make sure that we are in fact going to fly over the mountains and not into the mountains. I'm feeling pretty good. We got an updraft here, but it's getting over the peak that worries me. Well, how about that? We actually managed to stay on the magenta line. I'm genuinely shocked at myself here. Normally, whenever I go to the outside to start doing the cinematic thing, I get turned around and end up going all over the dang place. But no, it looks like we are pretty decent. We just need to stay slightly to the left of that, I'm assuming, lake. I think it's a lake. But there is an airstrip there. I don't believe it is a part of the flight plan that I put in for this, but it does kind of give me a good landmark. As I say, landmarks are us. This is how I like to fly and navigate. Alright, I'm going to trim us down just a touch here because I kind of get the feeling that these updrafts are just going to keep putting us higher and higher. There's not enough downdraft to compensate for it. So that may become a problem if we start getting up beyond like 10,000 feet. As long as we're in between 6,000 and 7,000, I'm feeling good about this, unless of course there's a mountain in our way and we need to go to 8,000. Pretty much I'm trying to stay where I know we won't need an oxygen mask. It's kind of my goal here. It's kind of my goal. Alright, let's see how much distance we have to cover before we actually get to Queenstown. So once again, we'll zoom her out. Oh, we're about halfway through, so we're almost there. We could, if we wanted to, just simply follow the river. And actually, you know what? I'm thinking that might not be a bad idea. Since we know for a fact that it's going to dogleg us here, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just follow the river.
Messerschmitt 7402, contact Queenstown approach on 125.75.
Perfect timing.
Good day.
Going to 125.75 Messerschmitt 7402.
Oh, look at that. That's just gorgeous.
Queenstown approach, Messerschmitt 7402, 6,800 feet.
Messerschmitt 7402, Queenstown approach altimeter 29.902, continue as planned.
Okay. Yeah, we are definitely going to follow the river. There's no point in my actually following the magenta line when I can just use this natural landmark here. So, you know what? Let's go to the outside view. We'll do a little bit of shenanigans, not too much, because even though this thing does have a warbird lineage, I don't necessarily want to fly it like a warbird. You get my meaning there. But either way, we'll line ourselves up with the river and start heading south. Alright, I'm going to start bringing us down because we are just about past 10 o'clock, which means we've been flying for pretty close to an hour. Roughly. Well, probably about half hour, but the video itself is definitely going to be longer than an hour. Let's see if I can get below the clouds here. So we're actually going to pull the power back a bit. Manifold pressure is down to 15. I'm going to trim us down a touch here. We're still gaining in airspeed because, of course, we are descending. You can see we're descending at a rate of about 1,000 feet per minute. We're at 6,000 right now. Well, 6,000 feet, that is, 6,200. Well, we're going to bring her down and begin getting into pattern altitude. Kara, you know what? See if you can contact them, please. What is the airport that we're landing at? I don't remember. NZQN, I believe, Queenstown. Yeah, I want to say that's it. Alright. We'll contact them.
Queenstown Tower Messerschmitt 7402 is 16 miles west, 5,500 feet, with Charlie to land.
Messerschmitt 7402, Queenstown Tower. Altimeter 29.902, wind 245 at 4. Enter right downwind runway 23.
Right downwind runway.
Enter right
23,
traffic
got it.
runway 23 Messerschmitt 7402.
Okay. Runway 23 it is. Thank you, Kara. Alright, so we're still going to follow the river here. But we may cut across when we reach some of these lower parts of the mountains. Landing this bird gets interesting. It does have stall capability. Remember me saying about the leading edge slats? that helps with that. Plus, when we've got the flaps down full, we can basically just float this puppy down. We don't want to get below like about 40 knots, but we can easily handle, you know, roughly about 50 to 54 knots for a landing speed. One thing we do want to be sure of, however, is that we are below our gear extension speed, which is actually 100 knots. So you can see we're coming in relatively fast. What is that, about 120-ish, roughly? A little bit more than that. But we'll adjust for that momentarily. I just want to make sure that we at least get into the right neighborhood here. So once again, we are going to zoom this puppy in. Yeah, there we go, there we go. All right. And we'll basically just follow the coastline here. Try to bring ourselves into pattern altitude. Since I don't have a full GPS with this thing, I obviously cannot tell, you know, what the airport elevation is and so on. And I am not the kind of guy to put in the full flight planning, as it were, when it comes to this sort of thing. So I'm not going to be fumbling around for charts or anything like that. I'm basically flying by the seat of my pants. That's how I like to do things. And in particular for this channel, my whole goal with these types of videos is just to show you the aircraft itself, what you can do with it, how intuitive, how useful it is in VR. It is not to go by the books and fly this thing how I would if I were doing it in real life. It's all about the fun and all about showing you what you can do with it. And I think that is a little bit more important, at least for me. Alright, so let me see. We do have a lower portion of the mountain there, and then we can just follow that in. Yeah, I think that'll do nicely. We're high enough up right now, and we are in level flight, so we should be able to kind of cut across here. Knowing, of course, that the updrafts and downdrafts are going to mess with us, but we are at just over 4,800 feet, so yeah, I'm going to slide us to the left here. My throttle, by the way, is back to about 75%, so you can see our manifold pressure is back up to 21 inches. And we haven't really messed with the RPM at all. We've left the RPM exactly on 2,000, and she seems to be doing fine. I haven't seen any issues come up. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to make the cut. Okay, feeling good about that too. Let's see where our airport is. We'll zoom this puppy in some more. Oh, it's right there. Okay, well that works. That works. Alright, baby, don't go left. Please don't go left. Left bad. Just go straight. Straight good. A little bit of updrafts there, and I love the audio in this thing. The audio is definitely better. I know audio has been a complaint with Inibuilds previous aircraft. Sometimes the audio is not mixed properly, so it might be too low and so on. The audio on this seems to be fine. I'm hoping you can hear me on this recording. I am trying to talk a little bit louder, plus I do have it to where it will duck the sim audio as I'm talking a little bit, but I don't have any complaints at all with the audio, and I do love the fact that we can tell when we're in updrafts and downdrafts because of the fact that the engine sound changes. Because remember, my throttle hasn't moved pretty much since we got down to 4,000 feet. So really we're just relying on the winds aloft here, and that's being determined by the sound, or that sound is actually telling us what we're doing, if we're going up or going down, which is really cool. It is really neat. Alright, but we do need to descend a bit, so I'll pull the power back again. Manifold pressure 15 should be fine. We can start to see Queenstown up ahead. They did say we needed to come into, what was it, runway 23. So we are currently downwind, I believe. Yeah, it looks like we are. Alright, I'm going to zoom this in another notch here. Better make that 2 notches, because there is an awful lot of stuff on my map. And there we go, look at that, beautiful Queenstown. You know me, I'm going to go to the outside view as we make our way in. Now they did say right traffic, right? I'm pretty sure they did, because at the end of that river is our airport. And I don't think we want to go left traffic, meaning we go to the right of the airport and turn ourselves around, because I don't think that's going to work all that great. So I'm going to pull the power down a bit, open up the ATC window. Did they actually say right traffic? I'm assuming they did. Find out if I scroll down. Yeah, right downwind. Okay, okay. Yeah, left downwind's going to be a problem. But there it is. There is our destination airport. So we're going to want to hang out on this side, out of the way of traffic. We'll still keep coming down. And we also want to make sure that our speed is in check. I want to be below 100 knots before I start dropping gear and flaps. This is where I could really use the BelGeode landing cam, Inibuilds. Just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, looks like we got plenty of real estate to work with here. Ooh. Alright, so we are going downwind. Everything's looking good. You should see the little pop-up to tell you the name of the airport that we're coming into. Very nice, very nice. And I'm going to start trimming us up a bit here. Alright, throttle is completely idle. We're below 100, so let's go ahead and get the gear down. Listen for the thuds. There they are. Okay, so we're good to go there. We'll start putting power back in, and we'll start getting some flaps down. About 20 degrees flap should be fine. And look at that. Okay, so I'm thinking, you see where that little hill is? Right about there. I'm thinking we need to go around that and follow the river on our way in. How do you feel about that, folks? I'm thinking that's what we're going to want to do here. And we are kind of fighting the winds right now, which is not exactly a great thing, let me just tell you.
Messerschmitt 740, 2 winds 245 at 4. Cleared to land runway 23.
Okay, give it some more flaps here.
Cleared to land runway 23, Messerschmitt 7402.
Alright, so I'm feeling good about this. Feet are on the rudder, getting ready to do the rudder tango. Remember, this is a tail dragger with proper tail dragger physics. Yeah, you know what that means. Practice, practice, practice. Otherwise you end up ground looping, which is never a pretty sight, let me just tell you. Alright, but here's our little hill, so we'll use that as our guide. I gotta say, this is why I love Microsoft Flight Simulator for this sort of thing. VFR flying is absolutely perfect in it. I can imagine doing this in real life. Alright, I'm gonna cut our power here because I feel like we're a little too high up. Not really pleased about that. Our landing speed should be about 54 knots. So we'll see how well that's going to work. And I haven't played with the prop pitch at all. One thing is for certain, this bird loves to fly. Holy crap, look at that. We are over the glide slope, and I'm literally cutting the power here just to try and get her down. We're doing a tactical descent, as I like to call it. Look at that, we're still all white. Granted, there's plenty of runway, so I'm pretty sure even if we float a little bit, we should be fine. Alright, now we're on glide slope. We'll go ahead and put the power back in. Also don't want to fall out of the sky, that would be bad. But yeah, these winds, man, these winds, holy crap. Alright, baby, come on. Come on. Get into that ground effect, if you please. Okay, okay, okay. And try not to bounce. Throttle to idle. Oh, that's a little bit of a bounce. It's a little bit of a bounce there. Oh, don't ground loop. Don't ground loop. Don't ground loop. Oh boy. Whew. I think we made it, folks. I think we made it. Welcome to Queenstown, New Zealand. Okay.
Messerschmitt 7402, contact ground on 118.1.
Sounds good. Kara, do the honors, please.
118.1 for Messerschmitt 7402.
I'm going to go to the outside view and find a good place for us to taxi to. Totally awesome. Absolutely awesome. I have got to say, Inibuilds, when this aircraft was first announced, I was a little bit skeptical because, first off, I'd never even heard of the BF-108. We've all heard of the BF-109. That one has an infamous history. But the 108, I gotta say, this has been a pleasant surprise. This was not what I expected, but oh man, am I grinning from ear to ear just flying this thing. This is perfect. This is one of those vintage GA that I think you've done justice. It's one of those unusual birds that you don't really hear too much about, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it. Thank you so much again for the preview copy of this. And yeah, I can tell that me and the Messerschmitt are going to be having a lot more fun times. Alrighty, folks, so we're just going to find any old parking spot and just basically pull up here. I'm not going to stand on formality as far as trying to find actual GA parking or, you know, any of that stuff. We just want to find a place and park it. Because I am noticing with this particular airport, which I believe is one of the quote-unquote bespoke airports that comes with the World Update 12, I am noticing I'm losing a little bit of FPS with it, so there is that. But with that having been said, we are done. We are absolutely done. So thank you, as always, for watching. Thank you for hanging in there with me on this extra long version of the MSFS chill vid. I'm going to go ahead and cut our power here as well as our magneto. And of course it's going to do that thing because it always does that thing. Seriously. Seriously, Asobo. It's been months. Can you stop it from doing that thing, please? That would be great. I'm just saying. Alright, so, where was I? I think I was saying goodbye. So as always, thank you for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator in World Update 12, New Zealand. Absolutely gorgeous country, and I'm really glad it finally got some love. Now, Microsoft, Asobo, if you could please turn your attention to some areas of Africa and Asia and South America, please. That would be awesome if they started getting world updates as well. I'm just saying, buddy. I'm just saying. In any event, the aircraft that we've been showcasing today has been the Inibuilds BF-108 Taifun. And it is an awesome, awesome bird. Highly recommend this one. This one is just so cool. She's a little squirrely because there's no autopilot or anything, but as long as you are not, you know, talking to your audience while you're flying, you should be able to keep her under control with very minimal issues. So yeah, definitely recommend you pick this one up. And if you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. When next we return, I don't know where we will be, but I guess it depends on if there's any aircraft that come out in the very near future that I need to show off. I do know I need to show off the Vans RV-10, so maybe we'll do that, and we'll probably stick to New Zealand since there's obviously other areas that I would like to explore. But we will save that for the next chill vid. Alrighty, folks. I will talk to you all later. This is BelGeode signing out. Ciao.